All right, welcome to the
Here
Ask
we
Coach
are.
Mike show. We're going to share a quick video to get us started with an amazing guest. So let's go ahead and get that started.
Okay. Here we are. Near chat. Yeah. People are just nice and quiet. Nice soft touch. Who's more patient? Round ATP. Oh, just short of the
Oh,
ATP.
what a
Sorry,
choker.
Scott. I'm going to bring it back up again.
What a choker. That would have been a great way to win it,
You were there. You had it. It was all yours. Here we go.
right?
Get to relive it.
A little slow.
But he wins the match.
Right? The war.
The war. That was long. That was hours, right?
Yeah, it was pretty tough. Tough day.
You've been in lots of pickleball wars.
I have.
Yeah. And look at the wounds. None. I don't see any scars anywhere.
Got a few scars here and there, but they
All
heal.
right, well, let's start this show the right way.
Yes.
Coach Mike, we're very honored to be blessed with the presence of Mr. Scott Moore,
Yes.
six-time Triple Crown winner, 12-time US Open Gold Medalist, 20-time National Gold Medalist. I mean, the man probably has 3 or 4 rooms for trophies and medals and everything else. So, Scott Moore, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Jeff. It's great to be with you guys.
All right, so let's start the show with a match that was right here in Naples a couple of months ago. As I remember, you won the first game against Garneau and Mircha fairly easily. I think it was 11-1. You were down 4-8 in the second game of that match, and you guys turned it on. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, just the old cliche, never give up. You never know what's going to happen. We got down and kind of nothing to lose, nothing going right for us. And all of a sudden, the momentum changed, which happens in pickleball, as you know. And we were able to run off, yes, a few points in a row. All of a sudden, we're back in it. They're starting to feel some pressure. And we were very fortunate to get to finish it out in two because those guys get hot and it's lights out. But we made it happen. And very thankfully worked out for us.
Yeah, you never really wanted to go to that third game, right?
No,
No one
absolutely.
wants to. Yeah.
You never know, right?
We're going to back up a hair because one of the major questions I always ask everyone at the beginning of the show is, Jeff,
All right, Scott. So you obviously have a tennis background. How and when did pickleball find you? Coach Mike's favorite question.
Yeah, it's a great question. It was an interesting time of my life, actually a little bit of a downtime, because about 9 years ago, my youngest son graduated. We had also had hosted a foreign exchange student from Spain, and we were super involved their senior year in everything from soccer, volleyball, tennis, all kinds of great stuff. And all of a sudden, it was very quiet at home. We had 6-bedroom house, 5 of them were
empty
empty.
nest.
And I was like, what am I going to do with myself now?
Right.
Because we had, a lot of our lives had centered around our 4 children. And about that time, I think it was an answered prayer, honestly. A friend of mine named John Foss said, Scott, hey, I want you to go try this game called Pickleball with me. And I'm like, that sounds like a dumb game. What in the world is that? And he said, it's got a paddle and a ball. And I said, okay, that's all I need to know.
You're in.
I'm in. Anytime I've got a paddle, racket, and hit the ball, I'm a happy camper. So I tried it. It was pretty innocuous at first, had no idea, where it would lead. We were scraping snow off the courts to play first year. And then a friend named Ken Curry, who was a former tennis partner of mine, said, hey, my brother can't go to nationals. Would you like to play nationals with me? And I went, nationals?
What's
There's a national tournament in pickleball? You've got to be joking. He said, nope, we're going to Buckeye, Arizona. I'm like, never heard of it. And we're going to play in the pickleball tournament. And I said, all right. So we trained for a few months, showed up, almost got lost, almost got defaulted, lost our first match, basically first tournament we'd ever played, came back, won 7 in a row, and lost in the gold medal match to the number 1 seeds. who I had never heard of, but a guy named Jim Hackenberg and Scott Lennon. And so that night, Jeff, I could not sleep. I was like, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. I am going to be a national champion, and I'm going to be the best player in the world over 50. And that started to motivate me like nothing else has in a long time. And I started training a month or two later, lost 20 pounds my first 6 months, and then really learned how to play pickleball. So
That's a fascinating story. So, unlike some of our other guests, you didn't find the sport until you're beyond the 50-year mark.
Right.
I was basically, 50, 51, right in there when I started. So I was already a senior pickleball world. Never been called a senior before, so I got into it. I was okay with that.
That's fantastic. That's a great story. I love that. So, and now your family, tell us about, I know your son is a very established player as well. Tell us about your family and their involvement.
Yeah, so essentially what happened was my oldest son, Daniel, had been living in Africa, working in Kenya, and decided after a couple of years to move back to the States. This was like 6 months after I had played that initial nationals tournament in 2013. He came back in 2014. And I told him, quote unquote, hey, this is your one and only chance to be a national champion at something. I found this sport called pickleball. I've seen the competition. You train with me for a few months and we will both be national champions in pickleball. And I said, I know that may not mean a lot to you right now, but to be the best in the nation, probably the world at something, is so rare that almost no one you ever meet will have that opportunity, and you've got it. And I said, well, what do you think? And he goes, I'm in, And so we started training and just, didn't know what we were doing. We were just out there because we're both athletic and tennis players and racket sport junkies. He picked it up super fast. And actually, after a month or two, was already beating me in singles, much to my chagrin. Like, seriously, I've been playing, a year and a half. He's beaten me after 2 months. So we go to TOC like 4 months later, and we play the number one seeds and defending national champions, like our first tournament, first match ever, and we spanked them.
Wow.
The whole tournament just went, wait a minute. Didn't know there was pickleball in Colorado. Never heard of these guys, father-son team. So it was like we were the shock of the tournament, and ended up, losing a match. I missed a call, probably should have won the tournament, but we didn't really know what we were doing. And but I got silver medal in singles, and Daniel didn't medal, which was shocking because he was the best player in the field. I knew it in my heart. So we trained even harder the next 3 months, went to nationals again, 2014, and we just crushed it. I mean, he won the singles so easily. His average score, this other friend of mine told me, was 11-2. He won the 19 plus and the open singles, and I won the 50 plus and the senior open singles. So we were now each two-time national champions. Realized our dream. In doubles, we got beat 11-8 in the third by the guys that won the gold medal, Wes and Enrique. So close, and we didn't even know how to play doubles. We were just basically playing singles on a doubles court. I looked at him, Mike, and I go, this is incredible. I told you we'd be national champions. Next year, we'll win singles and doubles together. We'll learn the game. We'll learn to play doubles. I know we can win it all next year. He goes, Dad, I was thinking maybe we could play with guys our own age next year.
Ooh.
So leave it to your kids to keep you humble.
Yes.
So I sometimes introduce myself as the only guy you'll ever meet who won a nationals gold medal and was dumped by his doubles partner in the same tournament.
But lovingly,
right? And then a couple years later, Daniel went on to win, 6 or 7 national champions. He was the best player basically in the world for 2 or 3 years, 2014, 2016. Moved to Japan, where we had raised our kids, partly to start pickleball over in Asia. He's now the face of pickleball in Asia. Doesn't play that many tournaments anymore. But, he's loving traveling and doing that. Has a business we call Pickleball Trips, taking people on trips around the world. Taking people to about 15 countries. Started pickleball in about half a dozen countries, Japan, China, Kenya, among others, Portugal. And so my other second son, third child, John, decides about 3 or 4 years ago he wants to get in on the family business. So he joined us, took my spot. Basically, he and Daniel run pickleball trips now, and they literally cover the world. John and I won the Italian Open in 2018. We were hosting a pickleball trip. So he's a solid 5-0 player. Hadn't really played much pro stuff, but anyway, he got into it. My youngest son, who's 26, might be the best of them all, but he's super busy taking over our little family construction business. And I only get him to play once or twice a month, but he's a great training partner when I get him out there. And then have a daughter named Meredith who works for Delta as a flight attendant, and she does not play pickleball. So
Wow.
that's it.
How about your wife, Scott?
I did get my wife in. My wife was there at TOC in 2014 and watched Daniel and I almost win the tournament, our first tournament. And she went, okay, I'm either going to become a pickleball widow or I'm going to join the fun. And so she jumped in and now loves it. She probably plays as much or more than I do, has friends. So we'll go to a tournament together. She plays her, whatever, 4-0, 4-5 division. I play the pro division at night. We all go out together. And so she's right there with us and loves every minute of it. So that has been.
Scott, the focus of the show is about the people, how this is much more than just a sport, not just pickleball, the sport, but how it changes so many people's lives. And it would be safe for me to say it's totally changed your whole family's life.
Totally. Had no idea, Mike, that this would become such an enrichment in our lives. I mean, and that's really how I look at it. I mean, I love to compete, probably more than anybody you may ever meet. But at the end of the day, as my friend John told me, hey, Scott, don't ever forget it's all about the relationships. And, you know, the medals are nice, the money's nice, but it's really the friends that have changed our life. And now we have friends literally all over the world, all over the country because of pickleball, all ages. I've played with guys 7 or 8 years old. I played with 90-year-olds, and it is such a blessing to make these friends.
Right.
You know, I can't say enough about that.
So bringing that up, Scott, I'll jump to another question that I was going to ask you. You know, obviously you've played this game for 8 or 9 years now at a very high level. Many would say you're the best senior pro in the sport. So if you weren't that guy, you know, if you weren't on the top, would you still play this game? You know, why or why not?
Yeah, Jeff. I mean, that's a great question. I think for me, the competition was amazing. I loved the sport before I was the best senior in the world, and I will love it after I'm the best senior in the world. I mean, it's a season, right? It's not going to last forever, but it's been a great sport. Here's what I say: I think it's the greatest sport ever because it's so multidimensional. One, we just talked about the social. Friends, all ages, you know, all over the world. Two, it's incredibly mental. I believe at 59, I'm playing some of the best pickleball in my life, not because I'm physically as good as I was when I was 50 and started, but because I am mentally learning to be more strategic, learning the finesse game, learning more tricks. And, you know, I think the mental game you never stop learning. Three, it's as physical as you want it to be. I'm in the best shape of my life at 59 because I'm motivated. I'm out there training 2-3 hours a day. I train off the court. I'll tell you about that later. But basically, you know, it has helped me lose 30 pounds and get in the best shape of my life. I've never felt better. So I love that. And it's multi-generational. Like I said, I have friends that are from 9 to 90. And you know, what other sport can be that multidimensional? There isn't any. It's just incredible. And so to answer your question, one of my heroes is my stepfather, who's 90 years old. He plays pickleball 4 or 5 days a week.
Wow.
I want to be just like him when I'm his age. So absolutely, I'll be playing, certainly not as many tournaments, but I'll be playing and enjoying it all over the world. For as long as I can be healthy and God gives me health. So I'm
That's right.
I love that. Well, let's take a quick break from the questions for a minute. We have a surprise guest that was going to jump on.
Oh, no. I didn't know about this. What a nice surprise. Hi, Eva. How are you?
Now all the secrets are going to come out, Scott.
Yeah, yeah. She knows she knows my dirty laundry.
No
This is
dirty
going to make
here.
this show much more fun.
Right?
Right.
No one gets
Much
the
more
inside
fun.
scoop like a partner, right? She can tell all stories. So.
I know.
Well,
No.
I know Scott a little bit. I know how super healthy he is. I know he eats really clean. I know he has a training program. I know we throw this in often, Scott, in my show, because my target market is really like 45 to 75-year-old. That's the group. And
Yep.
we still know the majority of the people that are going to tournaments are not playing in the 5-0 and not playing in the pro division. It's the
Right.
rest of the group. Would you agree?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we talk about what kind of things we could do to last longer and be your 90-year-old stepfather and
Right.
continue to play. Because I know when we get over our 50s, our whole body changes. But similar question, I know you two are on there. If there was a training program that you would suggest to someone prior to a match or prior to going out there and training, is it the same all the time? Is it consistent for both of you, or is it completely different? Because I talk to different people and they all have different programs.
Go ahead, Eva. Ladies.
No, you go ahead.
Introduce
I'm
Eva
gonna
first.
follow suit because I know what you're gonna say. Go ahead, you go.
Well, I mean, I've always said, Mike, that champions are made off the court, right? I'm not sure how much my boys bought into that, but we worked pretty hard, and they'd roll their eyes, come on, Dad, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But now I've got to live that, right? Because when I first started, I won a lot just based on athletic ability and skill, okay? But that catches up to you, and now these guys are so good and so young. These darn 49-year-olds keep aging into our group, my play group. But so now it takes everything, including diet, including fitness. So I have a pretty religious workout exercise. I stretch most days.
Mm-hmm.
I work out. I use these B3 bands. I've got Eva on them, which basically are like blood flow restriction cuffs that you put on your arms and legs when you work out, and they restrict the amount of oxygen. So you have to work harder. Your muscles think they're working harder than they are to get less oxygen. So you don't have to use much weights. It doesn't take much time, and your muscles get stronger. Your cardio gets better. And the analogy I give is like when I moved to Colorado 16 years ago from Japan, where we raised our kids. And it was like the first time Daniel and I went to play tennis, we're like, who turned off the oxygen? We couldn't breathe.
Right.
But after 6 months, my VO2 max had increased so much that I didn't even realize I was in Colorado anymore. It's just the way our bodies are made. And so my lungs got stronger. This has just helped my heart, my cardio, and my muscles get stronger. So that's why I can honestly say at 59, I believe with all my heart, I'm in the best shape of my life, right? Because I really work on it. This has just been the last 3 years that I've worked extra hard on it. But so that's my real secret weapon, if you will. Yeah, before a match, I stretch, I try to sweat, I try to run around, I do some little B3 band workout.
Mm-hmm.
But basically the secret is off the court. What are you doing to help yourself, both health and fitness wise? And that's what I do religiously.
I'm going to back up a millisecond here because we got Ava Welsher on, and a lot of people that just saw her pop on, like, who is this young lady and what is she doing on the show? So Scott had another secret that he talked about his training. He didn't have this secret, I don't know, a year ago, 2 years ago. I don't know how long you guys have been playing and winning. How long would it be? A year?
We've actually been playing just over a year. It's kind of an interesting story how we got together. I love her spirit, her spunk, and her boldness. You want to tell the story?
Go ahead, Ava, you're up.
Okay. So do you want me to tell you how I introduced myself to you?
Whatever
Yes.
you want.
Okay. So it was at the Atlanta tournament, and I was, really working hard, and I clearly wasn't at any level that, yet that, Scott would notice me or anything, but I was determined to get better, and he was there. And so I went up to him and I said, Mr. Moore, my name is Eva Welsher. And he was so polite, such a gentleman. And I said, just so you know, if you ever need a partner, please think of me. And he just smiled and just very nicely changed the subject and asked me about my family and stuff. And that was it. And so he was, I think, intrigued, but obviously he didn't know me. I had no results really. And so we were at the tournament and, he saw me and he'd go, how you doing? And I look at him with a smirk and I'd say, I'm in the semis. And I'd walk away. He's like, oh, okay. And then, he saw me later on in the tournament and he was like, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm in the finals. And so anyways, it was just kind of cute. And then I'd see him at other tournaments, but I think what was a year later, maybe, Scott, that I continued to work hard and stuff.
Yeah. Yep. And eventually I needed a partner and I said, all right, Eva, here we go. And the rest is history. She's now my favorite mixed doubles partner I've ever had. We've probably won 4 or 5 gold medals together out of about 8 events. And, we just have a great time. I feel like it's my sister. She's got my back. She's a fiery competitor. I love her spirit on and off the court. And we just kind of understand each other, even though, and she can take my tough stuff. Sometimes I'm kind of rough on my partners, but she can give it back, take it. I love the fact that she's just
kind of like brother, sister out there.
Right.
I think we have a comfort level now. Is just there's always with any partner. It's nice when you play with somebody consistently because you get to really know them, and you're starting to just know what they're going to do and know where they are emotionally or mentally or this and I mean we're finding a really good rhythm together. Because initially when I started playing with him, I mean I was nervous as all get out. I mean he'd been in that situation a million times and I've had to grow into it. He's just been a great supporter and mentor and friend, to get me there. And, I can get in the way of myself and he knows how to handle me. And it just, I think it's a great partnership.
Yeah, we're just having a blast. And the cool part about it, guys, is now her husband and my wife are starting to play mixed doubles together.
Is that real? Oh, that's great.
Right?
Fantastic.
No, it's so awesome.
Right?
Yeah, we're going to Denver to play the Denver Open, and Susan and Jeff are playing in the mix together. So, I mean, what a great story for pickleball, though. Forget about the competition and what level Scott and I are at. I mean, isn't that what it's all about? I mean, meeting people and just creating friendships. And, I mean, it is just – pickleball is just awesome on so many levels.
I'm going to throw something in real quick because I know that you guys are very humble about this and you're very nonchalant about what you're saying about this partnership, but it takes people years and some never get that partner, that you have that type of synergy and you have that kind of connection that you can be like a brother and sister. And Ava, you'll be leaning over and you'll say, the ball's coming to Scott. You already know where he's going to go. You know what kind of shot he's going to have. That's so hard to find in a partner. And when you get that, you just want to love on it all the time. And, listen, I'm a strong God follower. And I have to tell you that the things that we don't take enough time to put it out there. Wait, give me a second. Kelly Smith, very strong commit. It started up in, I think where was it? Georgia, the Atlanta Open in Georgia, where Kelly didn't play on Sunday. And that was like a big, huge new thing. And I have to tell you, that type of conviction goes on the court with you. That's who you are as a person, your integrity. And I just want to give her a huge shout out because I think more and more people need to just be that type of person when you're out there playing. And it's very hard because as many people as I speak to, Mike, I flick a switch sometimes when I go on the court. I'm this other person on the court. Sometimes I'm a different person off the court. And it's hard. It's a hard balance. Right. And now you add that second person into that mix. It makes it very difficult because what you guys have, it's very hard to find. You guys know that.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It goes beyond pickleball. I mean, we're friends. Our spouses are friends. And, and sometimes we blow it, right? And I remember one of my best friends from pickleball, Rich Lopez, I blew it one time and asked forgiveness. And he said, Scott, God doesn't care about the messes you make as much as he does how you clean them up. And that really helped me and freed me up because, we're not perfect. But, we can always clean up the messes. And Eva and I kind of remind each other of that when we blow it.
Sure.
Fantastic.
so like today, we had this great, huge meal, Scott, but afterwards there was this phenomenal piece of chocolate. And it called me and says, Michael, you know, you want to have me, just come pick it up off the table. So we all
Don't
have
do
little
it.
vices. Do you have a little vice that you say, hey, Mike, I have this little thing and I can't fight that either? Do you have anything like that?
I do. I mean, and my wife abuses me for this, but sweets are my vice. And so I try to break it, but I can't break it. It's my one vice. And she's an amazing cook, right? And I'm like, okay, I'm cutting down on sweets now. She goes, no, you're not. I'm cooking a brownies or whatever. She's like, okay. She knows I'm so weak for those. So anyway,
That's great.
I don't think
Chocoholic. You're a chocoholic.
right?
Chocoholic. It should be a thing, right? It should be in the dictionary. Chocoholic.
Right?
So, you know, your opponents watching this probably want to send you brownies every week to slow you
Right,
down on
right.
the court, right?
I got to run. That's right. So,
Well, Ava, thanks so much. Tell us a little bit about Scott. What we should know about him. Obviously, he's a great guy. Been very successful, and you guys have certainly found each other as great partners. You know, tell us a little bit about Scott.
Well, I mean, actually, he's a teddy bear. I mean, he's very funny, and he really is. He's just, I mean, you guys probably all see him just in the arena of pickleball, but you know, he's just a family man. I mean, hubby, father. I mean, you know, he's, you know, I don't know. I mean, I just think he's a great guy. I mean, I really like Scott as a person, and then, you know, and I like competing with him out on the court as well. So I think that, you know, I'm just happy that we have our partnership, and I don't know, I just really enjoy him. I mean, he's absolutely hilarious. I mean, and a big heart and very giving, and I'm just blessed that he asked me to play.
You're giving me a big head, Eva. Thank you. I'll pay you for that later.
So it sounds to me, if you weren't pickleball partners, you guys would be friends off the
Oh,
court
absolutely.
and hang out as families.
Yeah,
and
that's
that
what's
sort of
fun. That's what's fun about Eva and Jeff is we just think, oh, this is a couple we want to be friends with the rest of our lives.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That's wonderful. I love that. Well, Eva, thanks so much for getting on. We're excited that you're moving down here to Naples.
Yep.
I don't know if that's public information, is it?
No, yeah, that's fine.
Look out, Naples. Here she comes.
Yeah, Scott will come down and visit. We'll come.
Yep.
We'll come do some doubles with you, Mikey.
He
Okay?
just mentioned that he'll be spending more time in Florida. Now we know why.
That's right.
That's
He's gonna come. He's gonna come hang at my house. There you go.
Good.
All right.
That's wonderful. Well, thanks so much for climbing on, Ava. We really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. And
Thank you for having me. Bye, Scott. I'll see you in a
Good
week
to
and a
see
half.
Yep. Can't
All
wait.
right.
All
Thank
right,
you,
bye.
Amy. Bye, honey.
Okay. Bye.
Well, that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise, a pleasant one. I like it.
Good.
All
She's
right,
a great gal. Believe it or not, I had met her 4 years ago at the US Open, which is in Naples for people that don't know. Still the biggest tournaments of the year held in Naples. And it was just rec play, and I just met her, and you just can't not like that woman. She is so full of life. Just
Really?
God blows off of her. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
But she was not at the level that she is now. She's really grown tremendously.
she's been working hard.
Yeah.
Up and up and up. So, and now she believes it, that she belongs, and she really does.
She does.
That's
She's earned her way
wonderful.
there.
so, Scott, let's talk about the men's side. You know, I look at some of your last tournaments, and you had 3 different partners. Is it hard to find, you know, that right person?
It is hard, you know, for lots of reasons, some of which you can't control. Like some guys live on the West Coast and just play West Coast tournaments, and some guys like East Coast tournaments, and some guys are still working, and some guys are free for lots of tournaments, and some guys you have the same style with, and maybe it's, you know, conflict a little bit, even though you're both great players. And I mean, it's just across the board.
Sure.
Why it's complicated, but it is. And so more than other sports, you know, the top pros tend to play with different people, which,
Mhm.
you know, maybe isn't ideal in some ways, but it actually is kind of fun getting to know different people and playing and learning. I learn more playing with different people. So there are aspects about it that I really like. I mean, this year I'll probably play with 5 or 6 different guys, 2 or 3 different women. So it's, you know, it's just part of the game, and I think I'm embracing it. you know.
That's great.
Prior to you being as successful as you are and everyone knows you, when you're in the beginning and you're starting and you're not out there that much because no one really knows you yet, is that the hard time to find that good partner because they're not seeing you, no one knows you, you're not out there, no one's calling you to say, hey,
Right.
Scott, please play
Yeah,
with me.
and especially now, I mean, some of these guys that are so talented, but nobody knows them, it's really difficult for them to, you know, kind of break in.
Mhm.
It happens, but it takes a little more time than it did when I was breaking in 8 years ago. And all of a sudden, you know, I was winning tournaments, and Glenn Peterson and I were kind of winning everything and just played everything together. And he's another, you know, lifelong friend. So I was fortunate to have Glenn because every tournament for probably 4 years, we played each other in the final of the singles, and we played, you know, most tournaments together in doubles. So I had a male partner kind of built in, but it is tough for these guys to break in. And ladies like Eva as well. So you got to be bold sometimes. Sometimes you got to get a break, but yeah, it's not super easy, and there's no formula, but you just got to be persistent. And, you know, like Eva said, she took a chance, was bold, introduced herself, and now she's my main partner. And
Great.
loving that. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
A lot of people ask those questions because Jeff's still fairly new into the game, and that's hard for him to find a steady, good partner. And I told him it's going to take time. You just have to be out there. You have to go to the tournaments. You have to meet people while you're there. That's usually the easiest way to go.
Absolutely. Definitely at the tournaments is the best place.
So we talk about up and comers. Last week we had Mircea on, and 2 years ago, you know, no one knew who this guy was.
Right.
And today, you know, you're battling him for medals. As a matter of fact, the clip we showed, you're battling him for the gold medal.
Yep.
Do you expect to see new pros burst on the scenes in the future? You know, like in tennis, usually you see these kids develop for a long time. Here in pickleball, it seems like they just kind of pop up.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is they're out there already. These elite level athletes who have played, you know, probably professional, some kind of racket sport, whether it's tennis or, you know, badminton or squash or racquetball. They're out there. They just haven't all found pickleball yet. So you can take a guy, you know, and all of a sudden, boom, in a year, he's right out there winning tournaments, one of the top players and so forth very quickly. And that's what's happening. I was jokingly talking about it, but you know, especially in my age group, all these 49-year-olds keep aging up. Some of them who haven't been playing pickleball very long, some have, but for the most part, you know, these guys are really good and talented, and they doesn't take them long at all, especially singles, to learn singles, a little bit longer to learn doubles. But, you know, Mircea is a good example. He's basically there, has been at singles for a while, and now he's pretty much there in doubles as well. And there's lots of other guys, you know, like him,
Sure.
both in the seniors and in the open, and girls, you know, that are just coming out of nowhere and everywhere. And the best is yet to come. I mean, the best players we don't even know yet. They're going to be coming into the game over the next years, and you know, it is changing the game for the better. Even though, you know, I kind of like my old play group better in some ways, but no, it's fun. It is fun to have all these new guys and girls out there.
So what sport do you think may translate the best with a background? Is it tennis? Is it squash? Is it racquetball?
It's a great question. I played high-level tennis. I think tennis in singles translates really well. The court coverage, the movement and stuff. So I would say tennis for singles. For doubles, you know, I don't know. I mean, tennis for the hard game, but the soft game is kind of tough for the tennis players to master sometimes. So I'm not sure. I played pretty high-level badminton for 10 years in Japan, and I think that was huge for helping my reflexes, speed, which gave me a little additional advantage coming into it. You know, so I think some of these badminton players, Daniel's, you know, started pickleball in Japan and China, and you know, is taught in Singapore and the Philippines and all over Asia. And these guys are coming. I was like, when I first heard he was teaching, I was like, Daniel, you know, don't teach them everything, right? Give it a few more years, because once it, you know, becomes Olympic-like, and we start hearing more concrete stories about it coming to the Olympics, these guys are going to be unbelievable.
Of course.
I mean, it's just
come out of the woodwork.
They're going to take it on as countries and make it happen. So they're going to come out of everywhere, all over the world. But yeah, that's a good question. But that, you know, I don't have a perfect answer, but that's my thought.
Well, and you bring up another question that that we're both interested in. What is it going to take for the continued growth in pickleball? Is it more TV coverage? Is it potentially landing in the Olympics? Obviously these other countries are going to be up and coming fast.
Yeah.
What is pickleball going to? When is it going to be a household name, or what is it going to take?
I think it'll take a few years, but the more growth that we see internationally, I think the IFP has over 50 countries that are members now. They're doing a great job. We probably need to get to 100, before the Olympics take it seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I think we need to, have international tournaments. We need to start going overseas, promoting it more. There's a few people doing it. We also need to bring, the top international players to the States to play in our top tournaments and, become more of an international, not so much a North America centric game. Because population wise, what is it? Almost 2/3 of the world lives in Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And once they get it going, it's happening more in Europe, but it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of starting to trickle up in Asia as well. So once all that happens, it's going to explode even more than we know it now. And it'll take maybe some more celebrities, maybe some famous, I don't know, international tennis players that get involved in pickleball, to get kind of the PR that we need to get over the name, and people don't take it seriously because pickleball, doesn't sound like a legitimate sport or whatever. I've heard lots of things.
Sure.
But it'll happen. It's just a matter of how much time it takes, which I don't know.
I hope it's soon because I want to go to the Olympics with you, Scott.
Right? That was one of my best highlights of my life, was going to the Olympics. So I'd love to go back and be a pickleball coach or something like that. So we'll see. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Could happen.
Well, Coach Mike says, he's told me this a few times, players generally only have 3 or 4 shots. And I know for you, often you're competing against the same senior pros. Mm-hmm. How do you keep them guessing about your shots and keeping, being unpredictable?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, Jeff. Because success can kind of drive you into a rut. I was so successful for 5, 6, 7 years in a row, winning with the same exact style, just beating people. That learning new tricks has been a little harder for me. I'm a little slower, but now people have seen my videos, they've watched me online, they've seen me whatever doing the same stuff. Mm-hmm. And they're ready for it, and they're better. And so I have had to really, and I spend an hour or 2 a day drilling and working on new stuff, and some of the old stuff, but just learning how to lob. I never knew how to lob till a year or 2 ago. Learning to hit a drop shot from the kitchen when they're back, learning, to not just drive it down the middle when I've got a ball in the middle, but hit both corners because they're pinching the middle on them. And those kind of things, it's been hard for me to reprogram, but I work really hard on it. So watching the ball, I've got a new little paddle that's real small. It's a focus paddle that I play with just to help me watch the ball better. Just little things. You never stop learning. My favorite word in Japan is kaizen. I don't know if you heard of it, but it's kind of the spirit of the Japanese culture, and it means in English basically continual improvement. And so to continue growing, continue learning, continue changing and adapting is really something that I learned over there that I'm now working very hard at implementing in my pickleball game, because I can't rely on the same old tricks anymore because people know what they are and they're ready for them. So that's the challenge to me.
It would be fair to say so much has changed, even in a year, let's say 2 years. No one was diving across the net to make an earning. Just people weren't doing it. No one was worrying about spinning the ball with their serves.
Right. Yeah.
No one outlet serves.
Yeah. Every year it's just more and more changes are happening in the game. And so I've got to be the old dog that can learn new tricks, or I'm getting left behind. So, I'm working really hard on it. I have to work a little harder at 59 than I did at 50, mainly because the competition is just so much tougher. But
and there's much more of it.
Yes, a whole lot more. So, well, I love it because it keeps me being the best I can be. Ultimately, it's about being the best I can be. Not, I'm not going to be the best player in the world forever. And I knew that, that's all about a season. And so, my season's coming to an end, but it's been a heck of a run. Had the time of my life. I couldn't have dreamed this up. I literally, it's like, God, I can't imagine this much blessing. Thank you. I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
You're enjoying it.
You
So
dropped it right on your lap. Hey, so a few people, they're asking questions, and I just want to bring one up, Scott, if that's all right with you.
absolutely.
Do you watch any previous matches, and do you ever scout out your opponents? Now, people have different styles. I know some people say, I don't really care until I get to the courts. That's when I start thinking. So Brett Hutless is asking, how often do you watch previous matches, and do you scout your opponents?
Yeah, I scout the top opponents. There's so many people that you play that you can't scout them all, but I do watch, the guys that are on the medal stand a lot, ladies, occasionally. I don't do it maybe as much as I should, but yeah, I definitely will go back and watch, especially the matches that I played against them,
Sure.
especially if I have lost, but also if I've won and watch before a tournament. Try to go back and watch a couple of the top players and make a plan. Eva and I are really good at, making a strategy and sometimes we stick to it too long, but we do have a plan of attack based on the opponents and based on kind of watch videos together and text each other a little bit about, what we're going to do against this team or whatever. So yes, absolutely part of it.
Well, you're your own coach, and you think of any professional team, what do they do the next day after the game? They go watch the videos.
Right.
Yeah, so same thing.
Got to watch the film. So yep.
What could I have done differently? What did I do wrong?
Yeah, now it's so available and so easy to watch. So I felt like, people were using that against me when I was playing people I'd never heard of or seen play, and they'd watched 20 of my matches. And so I'm like, wow, they know what I'm going to do. So now I'm trying to use that as well. Perfect.
Fantastic. So tell us, Kyle Yates was on here a few weeks ago, and he had a great story about playing a match. I think it was the Nationals with a broken paddle.
Yeah.
And that led to a partnership with Paddle Tech. Tell us about how Paddle Tech and Scott Moore came about.
Yeah. So I was playing when I first got started. I was really early with a Paddle Tech paddle, almost the second paddle I think I used. But I was out in, I think it was Hilton Head, South Carolina, playing, and this guy named Ken came up to me and said, wow. He said, you're like the best guy I've ever seen play. You watched for a while, and, you should be a pro and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I've just been playing, played one tournament. And he was like, well, you need to talk to Paddle Tech. You're playing with a paddle, and they'll sponsor you. I guarantee it. So he gave me their information. I called them up. Said, I'm Scott Moore. Of course, they'd never heard of me. And I said this. I said, look, I'm committed to this game, and you don't know who I am, but you will. And if you will sponsor me and take care of me and give me a little paddle distribution opportunity, I will be loyal to you, because I'm a very loyal guy. And that was 8 years ago. And Curtis Smith said, you know what? We're looking for people. I'll give you an opportunity. And gave me a little territory, and all of a sudden I started winning. And all of a sudden, I had a distributorship for half the United States with Paddle Tech, and we ran around, did clinics, Daniel and I, and set up dealers all over the country. And it's been an incredible business relationship based on trust and similar values, and we both parties, I think, have benefited tremendously from it. And because of that, I'll always be loyal to Paddle Tech.
That's great.
Great people, great company, great paddle. So I got no
Fantastic. Well, you've talked about age a few times, and these 49-year-olds jumping in your division. I know Coach Mike talks about a super senior. Do you see anything like that coming?
Like the Masters for golf, something like that.
Yeah, I was just in Kalamazoo. Jim Hackenberg's tournament, Jim and Yvonne, they put on a great tournament out there. It was a lot of fun. It was the first kind of senior tournament I'd played.
Right.
Only seniors, and it was a blast just seeing some of the super seniors, if you will, out there competing again and winning some prize money. It was awesome, just to hang out with them. And I've played with a lot of them over the years, and to see them out there fighting it out again, not that they're not playing in their age group stuff, but it was fun to see them compete as pros.
Sure.
So I believe it's going to become a huge part of it. There will be a super senior, whether it's 60 plus or 65. I don't know. I've heard both sides of that. and I'm conflicted a little bit about it because I'm going to be 60 next year, but I'm still playing, in the senior pros. I don't feel like I'm ready for the super seniors yet, but
It's just a word, Scott. Don't worry about it. Just a word.
Yeah. But absolutely, it's coming, and I tell you what, it's going to come in a major way. Ford Roberson, I can't share all the details, but has some big plans for it. It's going to take everybody by storm, and it's going to be huge, and I'm going to support it. And I think people should deserve to compete as long as they want to, and have opportunities and venues, and recognition. So it's going to happen, no question.
What comes up to me often, Scott, is the people that are 55, 60, go to the local tournaments, and they end up playing the 18 and 25-year-old kids because they combine them. There's not enough senior at a local tournament. And then you go to a major tournament, and now you're playing against the best players in the country. So it changes. I know Claire and I, when we played together years ago, we'd have like 25 people in a group. Now we go, and there's 50 in a group. It just exploded. It's so much different than it was years ago.
Yeah. As the pickleball population grows, it's going to fill out all those brackets. Yeah, it's going to be good. We're going to be playing in the 90+ division someday.
If you need a partner, I'll join you.
All right, keep me in mind. Lord willing, we'll be there, right?
That's right. Yeah, Lord willing, exactly.
So, Scott, tell us about one or two of your favorite moments on the pickleball court, if you will.
Wow, that is
There's so many.
Yeah, because I've had some incredible moments. One that I'll always treasure was, I think it was 2016 Nationals when Daniel won the 19+ singles the same day I won the 50+, and my stepfather won the 85+. So 3 generations of gold in one day was amazing, and I don't think that'll ever happen again. I had an absolute blast, the Battle of the Sexes with playing Simone. I don't know if you guys saw that, but we were just undisputed best female in the world, best senior in the world, and it was just a fun time. Winning 6 nationals, 6 gold medals at nationals one year was really special. But I think the one that probably stands out the most to me was 2018 Bend Regional 5-0, playing with Daniel. Because I'd never been picked on relentlessly. And that day, I got picked on relentlessly. And we just fought through. We played some incredible people. Every match was tough. We ended up in the winners bracket final being down 6-0 in the third against Steve Deacon, and ended up winning that. And then in the gold medal match, beat Wes Gabrielson and Brian Ashworth, and just had a dogfight, absolute blast of a time. And so I was totally exhausted after the day. Daniel kind of carried me through. Wes was hitting these returns of serve that were such a nasty spin, and I wanted nothing to do with him. I just run up to the net and say yours and let him handle it. But,
well, you're talking about 2 young kids.
Yeah. So just to win against the young guys,
right?
And that was the thrill, because they were all 20-somethings pretty much, or 30-somethings, right. and here I am hanging with them. And that's one of the cool things about pickleball. It wasn't just me, but it was like, it is a generational equalizer with the finesse side, and so much finesse and strategy that, I was really, until 2 years ago, able to pretty much hang with the top guys in the game, but they've gotten so much better. But that was probably something that the memory that I treasure the most is, getting to share that with Daniel and beating lots of really good guys that day.
Yeah, to do it with your son, that must have been amazing.
Yeah, that's what's priceless to me. And so close second might be the Italian Open with my son Jonathan. Winning that wasn't quite the competition, but it was like his first tournament. And we had a great time playing. A couple friends from Spain in the final. It was kind of like Davis Cup tennis match. Everybody in Europe was rooting against us. We pulled it out. I fractured my wrist, and it was long story, but that was fun too. So yeah, lots of incredible memories that I will treasure my entire life, no question.
That's wonderful. Well, I see one more question as we close this out. Apparently you have an interesting story about cliff jumping in Jamaica. Is there any truth to that, Scott?
I don't tell all my secrets, but somebody that was cliff jumping with me, no names mentioned, was a little afraid to do it. And I said, I'm going with you. So we'll go together. So we jumped off a cliff. I am kind of an adrenaline junkie, so it was, kind of a natural thing for me. And she kind of landed a little bit flat on her backside a little bit. Supposedly had a bruise back there. I didn't see it, but for quite a while, and it was a lot of fun. So yes, anytime there's a little adrenaline to be had, whether it's jumping off a cliff, out of an airplane, or something crazy, I'm usually game for it. So yeah, that was a special memory.
So Scotty, I've done the airplanes, but the people that I saw jumping off a cliff either had a bungee cord connected to them, or maybe they were jumping in water. Did you have one of those little bird outfits on? You went flying?
No, not that time. Not that time. Just a straight jump. I have done the bungee in Australia before, and that's a lot of fun as well. Yeah. So
now, was that at Rick's Cafe, Scott, or somewhere else?
It was actually, yes.
That's a cool spot.
Yeah, isn't that cool? Love that.
Really cool.
Yep. So I've got a bucket list. Most of my bucket list, I've been to 70 countries. I've checked off, but it's kind of an adventure bucket list that I'm working toward now. So hang gliding is my next one. I have a reservation in October to go in Tennessee. So we'll see if that happens. But yeah, I love the adrenaline rush that life and thrills give.
Well, Scott, this has been tremendous. We so much appreciate you joining us just for a little bit tonight. And obviously you're a gracious man and a wonderful guy. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you hopefully down here in Naples. And
maybe, more time in Naples, it looks like, with even down there and all the tournaments in Florida. You guys got it going on down there now. So
it's starting to pick up.
What's that?
Because we're starting collectively to get together. I was just a little bit further south on the weekend in Davie, Florida.
Yes.
You know
Steve Kennedy down there, yeah.
Steve Kennedy down there. So he had a little tournament they put together. And a lot of the people that I saw that came from tennis that are now in the sport looked around and saw the trees and saw 100 people under the trees collectively again. He goes, we never had this with tennis. And then some of the racquetball players that are coming into the sport said, Michael, the community that you guys have in pickleball, we don't have in racquetball. And from being with the tennis world, it's just very different than any other sport.
There's no community like pickleball community. So that's the ultimate richness of it, and so very blessed by that community and to be part of it.
All right. Well, we have one more question. If you'll graciously answer that before we run.
Yeah.
Sean, who is actually down here in the wintertime, asks any thoughts on a two-handed versus a one-handed backhand?
Yes. I mean, I used to think it was supposed to be a one-handed game, and then all these ladies were just blistering bullets past me with their little two-handed backhands. So I think there's a place for it. I've experimented with it. I use it kind of on the high balls a little bit more. I think it's harder for people to pick up. Got a little top spin. So if I can get a little, I'm not great at it yet, but I'm working on it. One of my new tricks. But I like it. If you've played tennis especially and have a natural two-handed backhand, or have done that for years, I think it's easier, which is why I think more of the women use it than men, because more women had two-handed backhands. But yeah, I like it. I think it's a good weapon. It's a little hard for me to do it when the ball's low, so I try to hit it when it's a little bit of an attackable ball, than a low ball where I'd like to get under it with a little underspin. But I think there's a place for it. I'm still trying to learn it, but I'm going to master it. And yeah, it's a good tool in your toolbox.
Excellent. Well, again, thanks so much, Scott, for your time. We appreciate it. Coach Mike, amazing guest.
Hey, Scotty, I'm very blessed to have you as a brother in Christ, and I am going to get you on the court. It's not going to have to wait 2 more years.
I'm looking forward to it.
So either I'll come out your way, you'll come out this way.
Okay, it's a day.
Jeff's very excited. He's really getting much stronger as a player.
Good. I'll look forward to it.
He lives at a great place, so
Yep.
it should come out easy for him. Scotty, be blessed. Be healthy. Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks.
Coach, another amazing guest,
he's
right?
So humble, and he's so good at what he does. It's his craft. And yeah, he's very unpredictable. You can't see where Scott's going. And it's true. There isn't that many shots when you're on, and you're learning this as you grow, Jeff. But when you've been out there and you've played 1,000 games and you've seen all the different shots, it's more technical and more tactical, and that's where they live. I mean, they figure out the shots of the people before they even play them. It was great to have him as a guest.
Absolutely. As we
That
close
was
here,
nice
Coach.
that Ava popped in there. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was great. Well, as we close, Coach, I'm going to put your information up.
Oh, great. Thanks,
Tell
Jeff.
everybody a little bit about your training as we close.
So I
things
do
out.
video coaching. Some people send me videos. I help them that way because they're not local. And I live in Port St. Lucie, which is East Coast, Florida. North of me would be Vero Beach. Some people have heard of that. Melbourne's even further north. And then south of me, you start going towards Stewart and then West Palm and then down towards Miami. So I'm kind of in the middle. I happen to live at a nice facility that has 27 courts called PGA Verano, where I do most of my coaching. And did you pop something up on the screen, Jeff?
I did. I put your contact information.
Okay, I just don't see it. So I don't know if anybody else can see it.
I think they can.
Okay, good. Good.
Awesome. Well, Coach, thanks again. You're a true
Another
hero
great
doing
show,
this
Jeff. Thank you so much for all you do. I really appreciate it. And obviously for the people that have watched, thank you for your comments. Thank you for, oh, there it is. Paddle Up Pickleball, 772-877-1370. And anybody that is interested in playing, someone that doesn't have a paddle, anything that's even remotely close to the word pickleball, I'm happy to help you. That's what I'm here for, to help grow the sport.
Thanks so much, Coach. We'll
Have a
see you
great
again
night,
next
Jeff.
week.
Thank you. We'll talk soon. Like the